Welcome back to the Morning Show here on Arise News. Following your passion is all fun and games until your numbers don't add up. Our guest, Bola Adefila, is popularly known as a profitable manufacturer, teacher also. She is the founder and chief operating officer of Banrut Rolls, a manufacturing company that produces tissue boxes, toilet rolls, kitchen rolls, pocket tissues, and serviettes, with a distribution network in all 36 states of Nigeria. Today, she will be demystifying manufacturing and also be teaching manufacturers how to do it right to ensure they are profitable. Welcome to the Morning Show, Bola.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've had quite a number of entrepreneurs on this program because we try to focus on entrepreneurship, but I checked out the organogram of your company and, it's described as a family business.
Yes.
So are you part of a succession plan? Because succession is always an issue for the sustainability of, businesses in Nigeria.
Yes, so I'll say I'm part of a succession plan, and I also started the company from the scratch with my parents. It was more or less like our idea, like the children in the family. It was our idea to go into manufacturing. And
well, you started with your parents?
Yes, we started from the scratch with my parents. And so I'll say yes, succession plan in the sense that we're trying to also co-opt all the grandchildren to kind of have this feeling that this is family and this is family business, giving them an option anyways to see if you should, in case you want to, come into the business.
I see your own children, as young as they are already part of the system.
Yes, we also named some products after them. We named, so there's some product that also named after my sister's daughter, and I have two girls, and I have some products also named after them.
But why do you think succession is usually a problem in Nigerian businesses? Because the owner dies and then that's it. It goes. But now, in your case, in this business, we already have 3 generations all actively involved.
So I'll say the reason why succession planning doesn't work in Nigeria is because we see it as an event. It's actually supposed to be seen as a journey. It's not something you gift to the child. You don't just come and say overnight, oh, come be the CEO of the company. It's a journey. So the child should be in the process. I didn't start being the CEO of the company overnight. I started maybe as a sales rep, going marketing the product. From there, headed the marketing department. From there, headed the head of operations. So I had my time to grow in the business. So it wasn't like, yes, we started the business, but I didn't start from the top. I started from the ground zero.
So you walked your way all the way to the top.
Yes.
But how do you feel when you were growing up? Or how did you feel seeing some of your colleagues, some of your friends whose parents are also involved in business? They start as directors. The first thing they do is they go to the board. And you were just asked to start as a sales rep.
I was helping them. So the thing is, I think for the parents, they're caught in between. Caught in between this, caught in between the line of, why should my daughter or my son start from the scratch? I want the workers to see him as the head.
Boss.
They know he's the boss, but also you're helping him to grow. At times, I even encourage that you can even let them go out, maybe out of your own system and go have an experience somewhere else where they can. There's no, will I say nepotism? There's no favoritism. Everybody is, being. But I think it's a thin line between seeing the child as a boss and also allowing the child to grow through the system. I have a father that he wants you to go from ground zero up. He doesn't. He thinks he goes to sleep better if he knows that you know your onions. So now when you have people, because I've had the opportunity of working with people that are way older than I am in the business. I've had opportunity of hiring people and putting them two step higher than I was in the business. But it has also given me the opportunity to learn from them. So they won't be there forever. But at the end of the day, you know the job. It helps you to know the job through the process.
Talking about the business, why tissue? Why toilet papers? Why serviettes? It could have been something else.
Yes.
Why this?
Okay. So like I said earlier on, it started as an informal discussion in our living room. And we thought of manufacturing. And I think I said toothpick. I think my brother said juice. So you know how you're just having this conversation as a family and you say, well, I think we can do this, we should try this. And my mom just came and said, why not tissue paper? And you know how she said she gave that idea and every other thing just flew out of the window like, oh, tissue paper, that sounds like something. It's a fast-moving good. It doesn't expire. You know, different. Now start looking at the advantages of actually doing the tissue paper and, okay, looking at population of Nigeria, okay, who is going to buy? How much of it can we produce? So, you know,
well,
that's...
anything we sell in Nigeria, we're the largest market.
We're the largest market, so...
But where is the competitive edge? I mean, if you are, you know, producing toilet rolls, these are things that are imported, you know, by a lot of Nigerians. And you see in the traffic every morning, you know, people are hawking toilet rolls, you know, papers and all that. Where do you have your edge in terms of that competition?
I'm sure if you notice on the traffic, you see this Vicky box tissue that is always hawked around. That's our product. And so for us, the cutting edge, even with the imported ones, yes, those
you sure?
Yes, the Vicky box tissue. So my English name is Victoria.
Yes.
So the Vicky box tissue was named after me. The cutting edge for us is the imported ones are always more expensive. We have our premium brands. And so I'll say maybe you go into the supermarket, a pack of 4 for Prince, which is one of our tissue brands, a pack of 4 for Prince goes for 400 naira. Then you see a pack of 4 of an imported product, maybe Andrex, and it's going for 1,500. I mean, nobody's going to pick. We have some people that will still feel, because of the mentality that we have about the product that comes from outside the country, just feeling like it's more superior. But again, if you look at 1.5 and you're looking at 400 naira, it makes more sense for more financial sense for you to.
You know, you just did something on this program. You just confessed that you are encouraging hawking on the streets of Lagos.
So the thing is, we don't even know these guys.
Okay.
So I think they come to the market because we've got distributors nationwide. They come to the market and they just buy from the distributors, and we see them on the street. So at times when I see them, I don't even know who is selling what. But so, I mean.
So you manufacture and you boast of being in the 36 states, including Federal Capital Territory.
Yeah.
Although you manufacture, you have to import raw materials.
Yes.
So truly, we cannot say we have a Nigerian tissue paper company.
So because of, okay, now for the premium, for our premium brands, we have to bring in the material because we don't have we don't even have the technology here to help us produce our own raw material.
How many years has this been?
So we've been in business for over 11 years.
And the technology is still not there?
So the thing is, the enabling environment is not there. The technology is there to have a paper mill. So you can have that's the peak of the business. You can have a paper mill. But again, even if you have a paper mill, you still have to bring in pulp. So from the suppliers of our raw material, they have a forest where they cut down these trees, make them into pulp before they get them into jumbos, and we buy the jumbos. So it's kind of really, really, really processed. So it's going to be, it's the peak of the business. That's the peak of the business for us, but it's going to take a long time for us to get there. But we're hoping to get there. That's our dream.
What have been the major challenges that you have had to face building the business? You say you were there right from the beginning. You were even part of the design of the dream, you know, and looking at the options. What are the challenges you have had to face, and what do you see in terms of your experience from project design, you know, to implementation to sustainability?
So I'll say from the get-go is the energy, power. I'm sure that's the biggest challenge for a lot of manufacturers, power. And enabling environment, having multiple taxation. You know, you go here, this agency is saying this is what you have to pay. You go to another agency, they're saying almost the same thing. And you just have policy somersaults here and there. And I think also for the financial support from the banks, the interest rates are not friendly. So you just have, these are the challenges that we've faced over time, but we've been able to overcome. For some of it, we're able to overcome. If some of it, we're able to acclimatize into it and just say, you know what, this is our issue. We just have to do it whichever way, whether we like it or not. This is what we have to grapple with. I'll say that policy somersault, and that's mainly the challenges that we have as a people. And also the times when the imported ones are also, they also pose as a challenge, because where you still have the tissue being imported and you have local manufacturers here, you still have that issue with having to fight the market, or having to then the regulatory body not also doing due diligence when it comes to actually, going and monitoring your activities. So you are a manufacturer of tissue paper. You follow the rules. I'm a manufacturer of tissue paper. I don't follow the rules. So at the end of the day, I'm coming into the market. You're paying huge amount for your regulatory bodies. Maybe I'm not even seen, but you are visible. So because I'm not seen, I come into the market, I make my own tissue like 50% lower than yours. That's also one of the challenges that we face in the...
You've used the phrase enabling environment twice in the course of this interview. You make it sound like manufacturing in Nigeria is a frustrating enterprise.
Well, I say running business generally in Nigeria can be frustrating, but you just have to have a lion's heart, I'll call it, to say, you know what, I'm not giving up. We Nigerians don't easily give up. To just determine to get it right, to do it right, whichever way. Frustrating, but also rewarding. So I don't really focus on the negative aspect alone. I also focus on the good part. You've got the population to consume your product. We're consuming nation. So, but you better, even if we're consuming nation, what you should focus on is giving them value to consume anyways. So
let me ask you, how profitable is the tissue business in Nigeria, with the ease of doing business not so easy, and the enabling environment, like you've put it? How profitable is this business?
It's very profitable.
You want to explain further?
So you go to a place like in the East, for instance. Our factory is located in Abuja. And the East consumes like more than 60% of our products. Serviette, for instance, we are party people in Nigeria. So I sell, maybe in a month, I can do 50,000 bundles of serviettes. Toilet roll, again, back to the East, they believe you have to use tissue paper. They're a huge consumer of toilet roll. In the North also. So for the box tissue you find in the cars, the northern market consumes that more, and Lagos, of course. So we've got the population, so it's profitable. It's profitable. The margins are low, but the volume we push out is what makes business sense.
I'm still interested in this family business framework. So when are you planning to retire your parents? And then you take full charge?
So I'll say I'm running full charge right now. So they're more or less like just overseeing, have board meetings, and just like, so right now it's just more like just letting them know what's going on. So they're not really, really actively in the business as I am.
Okay, do you have some of your siblings heading some of the departments?
So I'm the only one in the country.
Oh, okay.
All my siblings are outside the country.
Okay.
So you are not only doing this business, you're also trying to teach other people, manufacturers, to climb the ropes. Some people will say that is very scarce in Nigeria. People talk about entrepreneurship, but nobody is really there to teach them to say, these are the encounters you're going to, these are the challenges you're going to encounter, and all of that. You say you are doing that. Mm-hmm. So what do you really tell these entrepreneurs who want to go into manufacturing? What are the challenges you tell them? Do you tell them the truth?
So the things, I came up with Profitable Manufacturer course because I've had a lot of interaction with a lot of startups, and I realized that they have the idea, but they just don't know how to run the business. So you can be a good baker, and that's what you know how to do, but you don't know how to do your costing, you don't know how to do your distribution, you don't even know what you should look out for when you're producing. So I came up with the course, and what I gave in the course is a hands-on experience. So I'm not giving you something that you download from Google and you just give them. I'm giving you what I've done over 11 years. I've been in business for over 18 years, but 11 of that have been in manufacturing. So what I do is I give them heads up where to source your material, where to source your machines, when it comes to production, how you should look for productivity, what you should look out for even in your manufacturing space, the manpower to employ. Then we come to costing. What are the things you should put into consideration when costing your products? Now, for productivity and your overhead, you have to look at, for you to be productive, what's your overhead? So that means you have to ensure that you're producing far above what your overhead is in a month. I teach them distribution. How do you sign up distributors? How do you get your marketers to ensure that your product is visible and you're able to sell, not just only being visible, but you're able to sell? What are the gimmicks you play with the supermarket? What are the gimmicks you play in the local market? Because they don't know all of this, so these are the things I bring to play. I also are part of it into the business because, of course, the people are our greatest asset.
So how is it structured? I mean, is it that you have a school where you teach people, or you are a consultant?
So what I do, so what I do, I have one-on-one session to consult for people that don't want to be in a class. We have the online class and we have the live class. So we've had like 5 classes this year, back to back in Lagos and Abuja. We're having the last class in Lagos on Saturday. So it's like a 10 hours class, a day class is intensive. So that's how we do. So we have the online version and we have the live class. For those who can come for the live class, we have the online version for them.
You focus on specific types of business, or is just general guidance?
Manufacturing. So as long as you're turning raw material into finished products, you're a manufacturer. So it's mainly for manufacturers. But again, the cost is so intense that people that are just even business people can come in and get something, either maybe in the costs module or in the distribution module, or it's in the HR module. So it's a whole pack.
So what's your long-term plan as an entrepreneur?
I'll say just to be the best at what I'm doing. My long-term plan, I take it a step at a time, but my focus is just to be the best at what I'm doing, to be the number one in Africa when it comes to tissue production. If I have to diversify, to be the number one in whatever I'm doing, not only just being because you want to be number one, but successful at it and profitable at it.
You talked about raw materials when you're talking to, when you're passing knowledge to entrepreneurs who want to come into manufacturing. I was just looking up, and in Fiji, one of the biggest tissue manufacturers actually does recycling. So they really don't have issues with raw materials because they just recycle papers to make tissue. Have you considered that in Nigeria? Instead of importing, do you think you can shift away from importing there and then truly become a Nigerian tissue company?
So what we import is the pulp for the virgin paper, for the premium brand. For the recycle, then you're doing the low-graded products. Because when you're recycling, that's where you have all the brown paper and all. So we have
papers. And the finishing is a bit rough.
The finishing is rough. Then if we're going to concentrate on only the recycling, then we're not going to be able to appease to a particular market that will want the premium brand. So we can't run away from, of course, we're encouraging people to use the premium brand because the recycled one, you're having to use newspaper and all of that to mix and just give them tissue. So we have both brands, though. We have some local paper mills, small paper mills where we get the recycled material in Nigeria, and we use that for the masses. We use that for the mass production and just generic people that you and I can afford maybe a tissue for 150 naira. But there's some people that want to use tissue and they just want something for 50 naira or 20 naira. So that's that we provide for that market. So we have the recycled product and we have premium brands. Even for our waste, we also sell our waste to those people that actually recycle because our waste come out very good for them to use.
What has been your experience with the management of human resource? The average Nigerian worker, managing him or her, getting him or her to be productive and disciplined.
Yes, I know. Our work ethics can be very complicated, and I starting off, it was a bit rough, but I'm getting used to it. We're having to deal with unskilled labor. We have a staff strength of over 300 people. So it's interesting, but you keep training. The most important thing is to keep training. You keep drumming it into their brain what the vision of the company is, what your mission is as an owner, and so that they buy into your own your own vision. But I think most importantly is to understand people's personality. So even in the HR part of the business, there's something I do, a personality test I do for most of those who come to work with us. And what I do is to kind of know who they are. I already know who I am. I know who I can work with. I know, okay, so I'll give you an example. So I have this fantastic sales guy in Aba. He delivers on the job. But when it comes to sales reports, he doesn't deliver, right? And my team started complaining that, no, this guy, we don't get him to, he doesn't send his report at when due, he doesn't do it. Even when he sends his report, we don't understand it. And I had to call them to sit. I said, come, you guys employed him to make sales. He's in making sales, yes. So let's not throw the baby in the water away. So can we create a template for him where this is your template, fill in the space and just send your report, and everybody goes home. It's a win-win situation. So the thing is, even for as employers, we don't just look at it like, oh, you're not meeting up with what I'm doing, and you just tell them to go away. So you need to understand people. You need to be patient. You need to be fair, but you need to be firm. Of course, so if they know the boundary to draw and not to cross. So I think with employers, it's been a fun journey. There's so many scenarios I can play here that I've actually grown out of getting frustrated with workers, but getting to know them better and keep training them to fit into what you want them to do. And I also have an open door policy where you can walk up to me and tell me what it is that's going on. You can share your ideas with me. Even in the board meetings, it's not the owner knows all kind of thing. It's not an armchair manager kind of thing. So just bring your ideas. Let's support it and let's see how we grow together.
As an entrepreneur, what does corporate social responsibility?
Yes.
Or are you not involved in that? You're just interested in making money, capital?
No, I am very, funny enough, I'm very involved in that. So we have some local government schools around where the factory is, and what we do is we try to sponsor kids to school. We try to give them as much support as we can in the environment. And also back home where I come from, so I'm from Osun State. So we have this foundation, Ilesha. So I have this foundation where we have about 10 children that we send to school every year, and we take care of their schooling till university level. So that's been my own
If you were to make demands on government, because, earlier on you were talking about enabling environment, what would you like the Nigerian government to do for manufacturers?
So for me, in any economy, entrepreneurs are the drivers of the economy. What I want is full support, not a one-off thing, not an intervention thing. It has to be continuous. Look into the infrastructure, power supply. It's really, really huge. Power supply will be one thing that I would really, really want them to look into. So I'll give you an example. For instance, in a month, in 4 weeks or maximum 6 weeks, we use up 45,000 liters of diesel. So imagine that goes into...
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So just imagine I have to give government 30 or 40% of that just to supply me power. I mean, it's a win-win situation. So these are the supports we need. Then when we go to the banks, can you give us some form of a friendly interest rate? Not only the BOIs, let the other commercial bank be able to compete also with BOI. So BOI has been very, very supportive towards our business. But I expect that for manufacturers, not everybody can walk up to BOI and you get a loan. You can't even, maybe you don't even meet up their criteria. So I'll expect that the government does that, infrastructure, power, and also financial support to the entrepreneur.
So finance is really key. I'm really surprised when you were talking about your CSR, you did not say you were giving out tissues. And it's great to know that you're doing way beyond and helping people get educated. Financing, I watched an interview where you said you didn't dare go to commercial banks and you just waited for the BOI. If you did not get the BOI support, would this dream have remained a family vision? What would you have done?
So I think we would have still continued. it has still been on, but maybe slower, right? Yes, and that's one of the things I say in my class. You don't start your business with a loan, and if at all you have to even go get a loan, go to BOI. You don't go to the commercial banks. Why? You can't do, your margins are low. How do you want to run business with 26%, 27%? Where is that done? I mean, if you're doing that, then there's something else you're doing. You really need to show me, what you're doing to be able to meet up the, the payment plans with the banks. So finance, you just have to go to BOI. It has to be BOI right now, except if I know that CBN is trying to create some form of intervention funds through the commercial banks recently, ahead of some products recently. So I hope it works. Finance is key, but if we hadn't gone to BOI or if we didn't get the loan from the BOI, it would have still been on this track, but maybe slower.
But, we've had people on this program, even professionals, theorists and all of that, who say, well, finance is important, but it's not as important as we often think when you want to start up a business. Do you share that view?
So when you want to start up a business, it's important. And I share the idea of not as important as much as your dream and your plan for the business. Have a plan for your business. Start where you are and take it in your strides. But it's important. Finance it's a huge part of your business. Another thing is, it's easy for the theorists to come and tell you it's not as important. Be in the doing of the business and tell me it's not important. If you are in the doing of your business, you know where it comes to play. So let's say we live in an environment or we run our business in an environment that's credit-based. I go to Iya Doja in Okeari and she wants me to give her goods of 500,000 naira on credit. I go to another person in same market in Abuja. He wants me to give him credit. And I know he is there. He's been there for more than 10 years. He just needs me to drop my goods, drop 500,000 here, drop 1 million there. If I don't have some form of support, then I'm going to be having to count how much outside on credit. So we're a credit-based environment. So we need that same support. You need to have that kind of credit line also from either your suppliers or from either the bank to enable you be able to give that. Because you find out that your distributors come and say, oh, we also give credit to the wholesaler. The wholesaler comes and says, I also give credit to the retailer. And that's how it works. That's the Nigerian market. That's how it works. We're not it's not like cash down. Of course, you have distributors that will tell you, oh, give me so number of trucks and paying cash down. We have those huge ones. We have the big ones that are really established. But you have those ones that are trying to grow. Because when we're going to start our business, we started with some green distributors. I'll call them greenhorns. They didn't know anything about the business. So we had to also believe in them. Also, we had no choice, but we had to also allow them to start the business at that level. So you pay me 500,000, I give you 1.5 million naira worth of goods because I'm also trying to grow my business and grow your business. So it's a credit base. So if anyone comes and says finance is not important, it is important. But most of those who say it, I say some of them are not in the doing of a business. They just know the theory aspect. And that's another thing I bring to the profitable manufacturer class. I don't give you the theory aspect, I give you the practical, what works. Harvard can tell you anything, but they're not in Nigeria. They will give you the ideal situation you get. But what happens in Okeari is different from what happens in the books. It's totally different.
I like that.
Let me take you up on policy. When you're talking about government intervention, when Ruben asked you earlier, you talked about infrastructure, you talked about multiple taxation, and then a bit of finance now. But let's look at policy. At some point in Nigeria, some goods were banned from importation. Tissue was one of them, toothpicks and the rest of them. Yeah. Now, do you think...
And that was how we came in.
Exactly. Okay, so government's decision and the explanation is for it to grow the Made in Nigeria brand. Mm-hmm. You didn't talk about policies like that to say, let's stop importation of tissue. Is it because manufacturers such as you cannot meet the demand? Is it okay to still have this imported tissue come to the country?
So, government, I'll say, for them to create the policies and not have policies somersault. So when we started our business, I think it was during the General Obasanjo's regime, where there was a ban on tissue products and other products. At the time, we are bringing in your machines. It was at 0% duty. So you paid nothing. At the time the next regime was coming in, they changed the policy to 5% for machines. I mean, if I'm bringing in machines to produce in Nigeria, I should be giving some sort of concession. It should be free. The duty should be free. I'm bringing in machines. I'm not bringing a product into Nigeria. I'm bringing in machines to produce in Nigeria. Now, for meeting up with demand, we can meet up with demand. So recently, there was something I noticed. You know how we see foreign investors, we call them, oh, foreign investors are coming, blah, blah, blah. And I have a problem with, I'm a Nigeria and I'm producing tissue paper. Then you allow another foreigner to come from another country, to come establish a tissue factory. Your citizens are not satisfied yet. I mean, those running that business are not satisfied yet. They are not full or fat yet. But you're allowing another person come in who is not Nigerian to come and establish this same business. Now, this guy's coming with cheap funds. You don't have the cheap funds. So it's not like you can meet up. And when they come in with the purpose of actually killing your own business, because they come in and what you will sell for, let's give or take maybe 3,000 naira. They come in and they're selling it for 2,500 or 2,000. They might be making a loss. They don't mind making the loss. But what they want to do is they come in with a penetration price, kill your business, and everybody moves. Oh, it is cheaper.
Okay.
Recession has happened. Everybody's looking for a cheaper way to maintain their life.
So will you be recommending pricing regulation?
Yes. Yes.
Because that's more or less what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, pricing regulation. So I'm not saying the foreigners shouldn't come in. I'm not saying they shouldn't invest, but they should come in with a mindset of partnership. Take, for instance, in Dubai, you can't go as a foreigner to establish a business and not have a citizen be a stakeholder in that business. That's what happens. So if we're saying let's compete, we don't have a problem competing. Let it be a level playing ground if we're going to compete.
Well, I think we've enjoyed this conversation very much.
Thank you.
And I'm sure Adesua, you
I
probably will set up a manufacturing company.
And I have to go to your school first to get the basics.
And you know, the thing is, manufacturing is not always as people look at it. So I demystify it in the class. You don't have to have a big structure to run a manufacturing business. It could be in your kitchen.
I mean, it's one thing for you to demystify it and people hear you, but do they practice it? What's the success rate like? I mean, you talk to these people, is it just for talking sake? No. Do they walk the talk?
So some of them, I've had people who are now producing skincare products. Some have even taken their products out of the country to sell. If you see their products, if you go on my page, you see some of the products. I advertise some of their products on my page. You say, see what this guy is doing. There's this guy that started a plantain chips, and his packaging is awesome. I mean, the first time I posted it on my page, everyone said, please, when are you taking this product out of the country? So the thing, it's doable. It could be in your kitchen.
Will plantain chips qualify as manufacturing?
Is he giving us raw plantain?
Okay.
So he's turning raw material to finished products. So the thing, he's taking it from his farm, he processes it, and he sells it to you. So the thing, so that's why I decided to demystify. You can do it in your kitchen. As long as NAFTA comes and says, this place where you're doing it is certified, we're fine. So we don't have, that's why the financial part comes. You don't have to have this huge investment before you start your business, because you also want to make some money before you can kind of expand your operations. So it's not necessarily that you have to have a structure. If you come to my factory now, you might be intimidated, because by the time you see the gadgets and the machines and you're like, oh God, I don't think this journey is for me. But start where you are. If it's food, start from your kitchen. As long as start small and grow big. The most important thing is to have the bigger picture in mind, and you take it step by step. You can't be there overnight, but it helps you to grow.
Thank you very much, Bola, for coming to the morning
Thanks for having me.
And all the best for the business.
Thank you.
As you move on to handing over to your own children and their own children. Because I think businesses should be sustained.
Yes,
the sustainability of businesses
exactly.
is always a challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's time now for a short break.